So this appears to be the correct seat post for the old Bianchi. So that's kind of magic. I might just have to steal this for the Bianchi right now. I grabbed something else for this bike for the stand. Here I have a old 26.8 SR Royal post with like a sort of halfway built-in clamp. This thing is probably way more exact what the Univega came with. So I'll use it for now unless I find something better later. So here we have the new Univega. Looks to be in good shape. I didn't actually check it out super hard. Feels pretty close to true and roundish. Just trying to wiggle them back and forth. Bearings don't feel crazy loose. I'm spinning the wheel, I can hold down by the hub on the fork blade and feel if there's any grinding feeling. You'll be able to feel the tension in the bearings. Wheel doesn't look terrible, doesn't feel terrible. Headset's not a super high-end expensive one, but it feels amazing. You know, the cables and housing feel fine, and this bike probably have air to put in the tires and maybe a little bit of lube, and it'd be good to go. Play with these shifters. It's fine. Barely stiff, but totally fine. Checking this chain. It's 0.5, so worn out, but probably also fine. We'll take a real good look at that freewheel and see if it's any good. Take a look at everything else, see if it's any good. It's nice that the seat post wasn't frozen in place, so we know that. That's one step in our favor. We'll check the stem. Stem moves, not frozen in place. I've known guys who've had their stems frozen on their bike and they took out this bolt, beat out with a hammer, soaked it in penetrating oil, rode it for 5 years with no bolt in it, and it will not come loose. Stems they're frozen. It's no bueno. I've saved a bike with a frozen stem by cutting the stem off, throwing the whole fork away, replacing the fork, and a new stem and headset. It's good to make sure. Stuck seat posts, I've gotten probably 80% of the ones I've tried to get out. Some fairly easy, a few very hard and really not worth it in the end, and a few broke my vise or snapped the frame. So, you know, if a bike's got a stuck seat post and a stuck stem, really think about that before you buy it. Now, I saw this bike at the Goodwill. I was like, hey, this is a pretty nice old bike. Paint looks really nice. It looks more or less complete. The wheels look nice. It's got new tires, even though they're mismatched. And probably really cheap. High quality compound, it says. I seriously doubt it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to get this bike and fix it up. I didn't like these cheesy old levers. The components really cheapish, Suntour, Sagino, whatever. They're totally fine. But I sort of, while out shopping for other bikes parts, kind of went nuts. And just started buying stuff for this bike, not really thinking about it too much. So I got a lot of random stuff. I got a nice Velo Orange Tourist bar. I love this bar. It'll make this bike upright and city, and I'm going to call it a gentleman's cruiser. So it'll have room for fenders. It'll have nice road bike gearing, but it's got a big cassette derailleur in the back, mountain bike stuff. And, you know, I bought some cheap thummies because I couldn't figure it out, and I'm like, no, I like this bike too much to put these really crappy thummies on. I got some cheap old Lehman levers at Community Cycling Center. I got another pair at Bike Farm. So I'll probably go with these because they're vintage and pretty, and probably go with these. Got some bright silver housing to replace this kind of gray silver housing. Sort of works really well with the Univega logos and the silver parts. It'll make this bike look lighter and funner and prettier. A friend kicked me down a box of random bike parts. They had the levers that I used on the Jamis, which are great. And they had a brand new set of VO cork grips, which will be perfect with the VO tourist bars in this like kind of classic-y build. I love these old VO cork grips, especially the black ones, because they're like a soft foam that look cork. And then I went nuts. This bike has a clamp-on down tube shifters, and that's just not really fun with cruiser bars. You're up too high, you don't be reaching. And it turns out that Suntour made a zillion of these old clamps for cable stops to come and stop into, for bar end shifters or stem shifters or whatever. They're getting a little rarer, they're getting a little more expensive. People are asking outrageous money for these sometimes. I was up to the $15 when I saw at a shop. That felt outrageous to me. because you usually get them for free or on a bike or whatever. But now people are asking 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks for these. Couldn't find any, so I freaked out. I lowball bid on a few on eBay, won. I found a guy, Eugene, who had a couple, and I made my mom, who lives down there, go pick them up for me. And then I went to Tomcat Bikes, and he had exactly one. I bought it too, so I ended up like 4 of these. I call that a good problem. And then, what I really wanted is Suntour shifters. These nice Suntour thummies. They're the best shifter ever made. They're the power ratchet inside, so they don't slip gears. You can hear them ratcheting. They look gorgeous. They're all silver. Best shifters ever. I bought bikes at garage sales for $5 because they had these on them, and every other part was like cheap garbage. I didn't care. I bought every pair I've ever really come across that wasn't outrageous, but man, on eBay now they're like $129, $79, $89. I lowball bid on a few. Lost. Found this one guy, didn't list them in his auction. His auction for a set of really crappy Suntour derailleurs. I happened to have these, and I lowball. He won $60. I offered him 30. So it looked like the cable end is still stuck in here. And he went ahead and shipped them to me. And he shipped me the derailleurs too. And he threw in a nice set of old die-cop cantilever brakes. So for $30, I really scored. I was willing to pay up to $50 for these, but really I was willing to pay $30 for them. So hopefully these will clean up. One's missing this little D-ring. But I think I can go dig around Tomcat or Bike Farm and find another bolt with this D-ring. Pop it on there, or steal this D-ring off an old crappy down tube shifter boss or whatever. These are nice. You use them to tighten them. If they get a little loose while you're riding, you just boop, tighten the tension. They're great again. So I'm stoked I got these. I ended up going to another guy's like Craigslist post. This dude I've met a few times from Bike Farm. I bought some different thummies. They're like more modern. Bought some modern levers, some other things I was going to try on this bike. Got some used tires that look 27-inch tires that look really nice and in good shape. I'm looking at red flats, so I'll probably put those on. Part of me wants to go nuts and buy Pan Racer Pacelas for this because of the gum wall, and they're gorgeous, and they're the nicest riding tires you can ever get, and they're not outrageously expensive, and they're really starting to climb up there. But this bike doesn't have real dropouts. It's stamped steel dropouts. It's not talking me out of dropping $80 on the Pacelas, even though I'm sure it'd be a good investment. I'm going to try these used 27-inch tires. Yeah, here's some of the other random parts I got. So I got like this Weeman brake, which I really like. It was the best thing they had at the old Bike Farm, and it has really scuffy, rusty bits. And I don't know, whatever. I like the shape of the other ones better, and I found them second, so I bought them. I got just these ugly flat bar, non-linear brake levers at CCC, thinking I'd have to use them, the only thing I could find. But they're kind of ugly, and I found some other stuff, so I probably won't use them. Got these, I guess, nice SR thummies. People said these are great, even though I think most SR stuff's real cheap and crappy. Sunrace stuff. But I got them, but I'm going to go with the Suntour ones because they're just older and prettier for a vintage bike. And I'll save these for something a little bit more modern, maybe. Couldn't help myself. These old Suntour brake levers are really kind of the best levers ever made. They fit the bar at a cool angle. They work. The housing comes out at a weird angle, so they're great for sweepy back bars. Don't have the housing come straight out, make giant loops. They kind of tuck right in, make really nice little loops. They're a little beat up, but I want them for $9 with the complete set of candy brakes. So I can definitely use those candy brakes on something in the future on a vintage mountain bike. It'll be totally cool. They're a little scuffier than I like, but you never know. You might use them. We'll see. All right. So I guess really the thing to do on this little Univega is kind of pull it apart, really dig in and see what's usable and what's savable and what we're going to party with. Back wheel's a quick release, which is nice. Got a big, old, giant Suntour perfect freewheel on it. How huge this dude is. Oh, it's even got the Suntour pie shield for max 34 tooth. It's huge. Trick to telling teeth is you just sort of cut the thing in half. Then you only have to count half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16. So 16 and 16 is 32. So that's a nice big freewheel. It's got an old Suntour AR2 like touring e-bike derailleur. They might use it on mountain bikes as well. But it seems like it can handle it no problem. Guess I probably should have made sure and done big and all that. Let's do that before we cut the chain or do anything crazy. Shifting the big ring in the front, shifting the big ring in the back. So it can handle it. So it won't break the chain, won't break the derailleur. You accidentally shifting there real hard. Cool. See anything cool about these wheels? Nissan or Sansian. So just cheap, generic, whatever hubs. Araya 27-inch cheap, generic, whatever rims, but they feel nice. It's like no brake wear, no concaving. We'll get rid of whatever this weird, bizarre water bottle holder is. It's got water bottle bolts, that's a good thing. Lifetime guaranteed frame, made in Japan, that's cool. Sticker up here which matches, says chromoly triple butted frame tubes. And Mangalite fork, so at least the main tubes are good steel. Fork's a little cheap, but I bet it's totally fine. We are going to get rid of this shifter, so these cables and all this junk has to go. So we know that's something we can do right now. It's got the cool original Suntour derailleur bit, which is just pure wound coil. And it doesn't even look mangled at all, it looks nice. Might save this for something later, or might just reuse it because it's cool and original and vintagey. We're definitely going to change out the brake cables and housing because changing the bars and it's going to be longer and all that stuff. So this has a regular barrel adjuster, and the front has a weird one with a quick release. Kind of makes sense because people are going to quick release fronts more often at the front wheel in and out. Sort of the whole point of quick releases. But I might go dig around a Bike Farm or CCC and see if I can find some matching ones. These levers don't really have a quick release. I mean, you can just pull them back and pop the cable right out if you really want to. So maybe I'll get one with a quick release for the back. Or maybe I'll find some nice silver, modernish, better stopping, but kind of classic-y looking Tektros or something and grab those instead if they're cheap enough. Don't lose barrel adjusters in little parts. Keep them together, put everything in nice little piles or Ziploc bags or whatever you got to do. It's easiest to pull stuff apart. A barrel adjuster, a little mushroom ferrule just goes flying and just never see it again. Come on, baby. These are designed to fall out this hole in the bottom of the lever, but somehow magically never do. There we go. Twisted it. Oh, good time. Oh, never mind. I was gonna say, this front one was almost stuck. I got the pliers out, pinched from the back and tried to push it forward, but it came right out. Oh, look at this. These Suntour shifters have the little bolts, the little wing nuts. I'll pop them off and show you. Putting the hardware back on. Don't lose hardware. Suntour shifter has a very similar, slightly different D-ringed bolt as these guys. So there is a very good chance if I pull them out and the threads are the same and all that, I might steal them for this. You could save these shifters. Someone might want them, but there's so many Suntour shifters out there. And there's power ratchet shifters, which are a billion times better than just a regular friction shifter. And there's a weird arrow bolt-on thing. I don't think anyone wants these or cares. Robbing parts off them doesn't break my heart. If they were a real fancy Suntour shifter, a good one, or power ratchet, or anything like that, I would not steal parts from these. I would find a cheap one for very few dollars somewhere to steal parts off of and save these for a build or put them on the flea bay. So let's, just for the sake of fun, check this bolt out. Looks M5-y, looks maybe 12mm-ish. Oh, and I see this looks like more like an M4 or something tiny, and it's definitely a lot longer than 12mm. So can't steal that bolt. Good to know. Or maybe I can steal that D-ring out and just pop it in the two holes on this for the D-ring. Maybe. You see that little guy? Maybe that is the move. Got some very impractical but very cool snap-on pliers I got from a a garage sale lot, a big haul. Snuck that D-ring out. We'll try my cool expanding pliers, which I really mostly only use for seat tubes. But you know, maybe, just maybe. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. That worked awesome. Expanding pliers. They're like 15 bucks like any good tool hardware store. Use them on bikes every time I work on bikes. Revisit this handlebar. Is that a lie? I think I'm going to save this stem. I don't think I have anything nicer or cooler. It's fairly longish, so it'll probably work with those bars. Sometimes I even want a longer stem for cruiser bars. They sweep back so much. Maybe I'll dig, but I don't think I have anything. It ain't easy not having any bike parts. I'm going to get rid of this foam. Usually you can cut it off. Usually I just razor blade it off because I don't care. Who cares? I scratch these crappy old bars that are worth $0 to anyone. You usually have to get the cables out or take all the tension off. The chicken lever out of the way. You can reach in here, this little flathead. Pretty loose. I think we can do it. It's a little tight. Let's go a little bit looser. Some of the modern like tech droid brakes and stuff are that way too. You really have to mess them up to get them off. Get them so loose they fall off like a half a thread on. A screwdriver-y bar end plug for reasons. It's kind of cool. These old chicken levers, I remember people used to think they wanted them on their old vintage bikes. They like the second brake positions. They're so weak and crappy and not leveragey or stoppy and make your brake squishy and the bolts fall out. They go flying off while you're trying to stop. So, you know, if you really wanted to save them, you can. These ones look like they're kind of short reach, too, which is kind of nice. Guess we'll save them since I don't have any. If I had a couple of sets of these, I would not save them. Just recycle them. Save these nice chrome bands off them or something. You know, definitely save little mushroom ferrules. You've always got a million of these little mushroom ferrules right up until you need one, and then there's just none anywhere for some reason. Saved it. This one's cool because it has this little snap ring in it. It's supposed to keep them from falling out as easy. It kind of mostly works. Alright, so the bolt's sort of hidden underneath this reflector. Normally I think reflectors are kind of uncool, and I'd probably get rid of it, but we'll see. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, from the bolt's perspective. So I just turned it the wrong way. It's the same in my perspective. But sometimes it's good, sometimes real tight and weird. You can't get it to loosen. Sometimes you get it to tighten, and that'll sort of break the rust's grip on the threads, and then you can get it to loosen. So yeah, when in doubt, try the other way. Some stuff on bikes is reverse threaded and weird, so when in doubt, try the other way. People get so hung up on something they won't try things. They have a big problem and bring it to the shop, and you're like, oh, just try. Go the other way, and then boop, comes right out the back. Oh man, uncool. This headset feels a little sticky, feels like dried grease. So I think I might open it up and do another headset overhaul video. And I can sort of show how to do it with this non-wrench cup and this stupid toothed lock washer. So might as well pop this brake out of the way then. So it's a recessed nut. So I'm thinking this is like 79, 80 to the early 80s. I kind of like it better. They don't have the recessed nuts. They stick out. You have to deal with some dumb hardware. But then you have a bunch of extra threads for mounting your fenders too, which is nice. In this case, you have to get a special fender nut or mount the bracket off the front or do something weird. Ow! Popped the spring off hard and whacked myself because this nut is frozen. It is tight. I'm going to hold like this front nut. See if that does what I want it to do. Probably won't. Maybe. Hey, alright. I'll have to spin and round out and need a new brake anyways. It's just the old Loctite grease, just dried and turned to gum. This Stuff like this is making me think I have to do that bottom bracket. Because the old grease is probably 1,000,000 years old. We can flip this spring over and put it back in, make this whole thing work again. Most likely. Oh, wait, this probably goes up, and this flips down. Yeah. Then pops in. So if stuff doesn't line up, try it a different way. Oh, it's so tight. Yeah, these will come apart and get cleaned and lubed and get new pads. God, these original pads. This bike hasn't been worked on forever. Barrel adjuster threads in and out. The little lock jammer nut on there. Threads in and out. I always check that. This stuff's frozen. You know, you gotta find new ones. Pretty cool. Might as well pop the back off, and I see the back is nutted. The front was recessed. It's got the extra nuts you can clamp stuff on. So that's also weird and cool. Now I'm curious as to whether the frame is made for a recess or not. So now I'm going to turn the nut and turn the brake with me. So it's like I'm turning a wrench on both sides, making it twice as fast to unthread. So nope, it's just a bridge with a hole drilled in it. So it's for this old school nutted style where you have to have these little half round cups to pinch the brake tube. This reflector has this half round cup on the back, so to get rid of it, I have to find another one of these dudes in the right size and shape, which is a good chance I have. And I swap meet recently, I got just a bag of these, and you need them, and I bought them new. So I need them, I've stolen them off every brake in the world and thrown the brake away. So, bought a whole bag. And I always will always buy bags of random hardware and little brake parts and things, because you can't get that stuff new. Oh, this bike's turning into a full overhaul real fast, because I cannot help myself. So I guess we got to take a real close look at this freewheel. You see me do other videos on this. What I'm looking at is on the actual face of this tooth, where the chain touches it, not the front, not the profile, the shape, where the chain drags across. We want to see casting marks. We don't want to see it all polished in there from the chain going over it 1,000 million times and going up over the top. So we're looking, make sure it's not too polished. I'm still seeing casting marks. I might really clean it and take a better look, but I'm seeing casting marks, casting marks, casting marks, casting marks. I think this freewheel is in very good shape and will probably take several more chains over its life. Checking to see if the axle's broken. A lot of times the axles break on finished freewheel wheels and the only thing holding it together is the quick release. So you can sort of grab it and pull it apart, or if you pull the quick release out, the thing falls in half. And I definitely want to do an axle replacement video. People talk about that all the time. Someday. But pretty nice. So I'm going to pull this apart and overhaul that headset. I'm going to throw the bar in now, just to make myself happy. This bar is new, but shop worn or used in a way that it was new, never installed on a bike. Then the shop closed and they donated it to another shop, and that shop just threw it in its used bars because maybe it's a little beat up or chipped, and definitely donated, not new in the packaging. Remove this stem out of the way again. Flip these bars. So I know these VO bars only come in 25.4 millimeters. I know this old stem's 25.4. I just know it because I know it. Because that's the only stem size back then, except for Schnelli's, which were 26.4. And even though it sounds like a millimeter, it's not interchangeable. So a lot of more modern stems from the 90s and 2000s were 26 millimeter, which again is only like a half a millimeter, 0.6, but still too much, no bueno. You gotta use a shim or buy the right stem. The guys will tell you all day long they do it and it's fine, but what they really mean is I'm really light duty on my bike, I don't ride hard, I don't stand up on it, like blah blah blah. A lot of people are trying to tell you things are fine, all they really mean is it's fine for their tolerance level of how crappy it is. Alright, got these 2-inch bars on, they're clearly at the wrong angle, but a good start. Just take a look at these scuffy old Lehmans. See what we think. Oh no. Oh no. So these Wemans have 23.5 clamps on, so these clamps are for road drop bars, where flat bars are 22.2. So what we'll do is we'll go in here and take a look at these little diacomps and see if I can swap these hardwares out for these hardwares and use these 22.2 clamps and replace this road clamp with this very slightly smaller but totally different flat bar clamp. And it sure looks similar, and there's a chance I can do it. The little nut in here is much skinnier, so I'll probably use the bolt and the nut from these and just use these and see if that works, which I'm starting to feel like it really won't. But I do have a backup set of these levers, which are also Lehman. They're 22 for sure, but they're ugly, and they have an in-between size. That's hilarious. Hilarious. So this will take a little surgery. Thread on thread on thread. Here's the 22 millimeter. Thread on thread on thread. Yeah, it's too wide to fit. And I just don't know if it'll clamp down on a smaller bolt. Give her a shot. This is ridiculous, never gonna work. It's too small. Going buying more parts, doing more surgery trying to do this work, or maybe just using these real badass Sun Tour levers. Even though they have a little scuffs. I don't know, derailleurs look pretty 80s. This is pretty 80s, I think. I think we're gonna go with them, and they're a little bit scuffy. God, I might just peel all this stuff off. I won't be able to polish it out, but it'll still make it look a zillion times better. Wonder what a nightmare this stuff will be to come off. It's a start. All right. These guys came out pretty nice. You can see the sort of rough, sort of sanded or milled finish. If I still had my shop, I would pull these guys off and high polish them. But, you know, I think it's good enough. It gives you a little more texture, and it's subtle, and it'll look like the sort of seat post is going to get scuffed the same way, and the brake levers are raw aluminum. I'll clean and scuff them the same way. So it'll be alright. And these things have such a better angle for the cables. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these dudes on. Dude, popped on, and you can kind of see what I'm saying here about the angle. These things are going to shoot the cables right back in and around. No big fluff up front. Which will be even better for like a big basket on the front, which is really what a gentleman's city bike should have, as a basket, or possibly a very cool little rack and rando bag. That might be a thing. And I think that's going to do it for this giant long video about figuring out the plan. We came up with a plan. Freewheel's good. We're going to replace the chain. Chain rings look perfect because they're rolled in chrome and steel. It's very hard to kill them. The derailleurs seem not worn out or dead. Even the pedals are probably fine. We already got cables and housing. We already got our clamp. We got our shifters. So I guess the next videos are going to be getting a chain, cleaning and servicing the wheels, probably overhauling the hubs, trimming, rounding, whatever. Do another bottom bracket overhaul video, do a headset overhaul video on this weird style headset, and clean up some parts and get this thing built back together and see if we can make it totally awesome. So I'll probably get started on that right now.